Oh man, so we've got Bitcoin at a critical juncture in a big week for crypto. Yes, here in the UK today is a bank holiday, but crypto stays open. We've got Bitcoin up 1.24%. I'm going to show you the pattern that Bitcoin is creating right now, because if we can break this pattern, we could be heading back up to the upside. But this week is critical. It's the week the markets have been waiting for. We've got the FOMC meeting. We've got a whole bunch of things to cover off in terms of the Dixie, which is the dollar index, plus covering off what we expect to see from the FOMC meeting. What impact could that have on Bitcoin? What could it have from Fantom? Is this Fantom now heading up to the upside, or do we have some more downside? We're going to cover all of that off and a whole lot more. Don't forget to hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. These videos are brought to you by me and our very own course member live streams, Ijaz.uk/member, if you like my perspective and you want to join those live streams. Right, without further ado, let's get straight into the Bitcoin chart, because Bitcoin is forming this beautiful descending wedge, which we covered off in yesterday's video. And you remember that I said these 2/3 of the time technically break out to the upside. Now, obviously, technical analysis only goes so far. We're going to cover off the fundamentals shortly, but let's look at the technicals. And the technicals would suggest if we can get a breakout from trend, we'd want to be heading over to the 42,500 level. That could be a really good level for us. And then if we could successively then get to 43 and 43.5, this could be the start of the recovery here on Bitcoin. Now, what are the downside risks? We've got to balance it. We've got to look at the downside risks as well. And the downside risk is you come back to the bottom and you break to the downside. And breaking to the downside, the technical target would bring you to 33,000. So now that we know that, we know 2/3 probability are more likely to break to the upside. Let's have a look at the fundamentals. But before we do that, let's also understand where we're at in terms of Fantom, because Fantom has taken an absolute hammering, which we've covered off over this channel. And you can see we've fallen. Obviously, our price target initially was 90 cents, but we fell much more than that. And we've covered at length over the last couple of days. If you haven't watched those videos, go and watch them. A whole bunch of stuff, some market related and others Fantom specifically / FUD, which isn't actually supposed to be Fantom related, has caused this fall, which went as low as about 67 cents to the downside. Now, we saw some support come in around 68 cents. That's our horizontal support. Remember, this support is now coming from 2021 levels. That's where I've had to dig out this support level from. But the question we have now is this just a bit of a cooling off from the bears who are taking a little bit of a breather before trying to send Fantom back down toward 58 levels? That's what I'm cognizant of. That's what I'm wary of. But the opportunity to the upside is if Bitcoin can break out from the scenario I just showed you and start heading towards 42.5, I would be fully expecting Fantom to recover quite quickly back towards the really, really important level at 96. We've got to secure the level at 96 for Fantom before we can even start thinking about anything more bullish towards the upside. That is a critical level for us. The longer we stay below 96 cents, it is not great here from Fantom. Now, we know there's a whole bunch of FUD around the Deus, however you pronounce it, protocol being hacked. We covered that off at length in the video. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it up for you to go watch. But a lot of that FUD spread across to Fantom. We also then know there was the big whale wallet, Voucher, who was getting liquidated. We can see now, if you look at his Scream balance, it's sitting at 5.1 million, and he's, more importantly, I don't really care what his balance is, but I care about his health rate, right? Because he's now sitting at a health rate of 1.19, which is good. Remember, if it falls below 1, that health rate, he'll start to get liquidated. And the worries in the markets and some of the FUD was that, oh, look, the liquidity on Fantom wouldn't be able to handle it. But let's take a look at some of the exchange data, some impartial exchange data, to see if the liquidations are actually of concern. And as you can see here, when we come onto Fantom and you look at the liquidations over the last couple of days, yes, we have some big candles. I mean, 30th of April, a couple of days ago, was the big one. That's where a lot of that FUD was happening. And that's sitting at 365 million. But if we go back, you had another 400 million on 11th of April, and you had another big candle going back into February. These happen every so often, right? You get these big liquidations, and there's nothing that the Fantom ecosystem can't handle. So there was a lot of FUD around that particular issue right now, but it seems like it's holding up pretty well right now. If I see any developments in that, naturally I will bring that to you all. Now let's take a look at the fear and greed index, sitting at 28, a comfortable level. Things are feeling a little bit more positive now that Bitcoin is starting to head to the top of the wedge. But the reality is things could change quite quickly. And as you can see with this, with the EMA ribbon now showing on the 4-hourly chart, the question now arises is the last 2 times here, we tried to fake out above our EMA ribbon, we got sent back to the bottom of the wedge. Same here again, faked out our EMA ribbon, sent back to the bottom of the wedge. Is the same going to happen now? Will the EMA ribbon act like resistance? And the same thing on Fantom. If I head on over to Fantom, it's the same thing. We're coming up to test our EMA ribbon. Like I said, is this just an RSI reset, which is where it was so oversold, Fantom? Is it just resetting before its next push to the downside? And are we going to get rejected from our 4-hourly EMA? Now, we've got to focus on the fundamentals, because the reality is, and I'm recording this video a little bit early. It's actually Eid today, which is our festival in the Muslim calendar. So I'm observing Eid today. But I thought I'd give you this update anyway. So what I'm doing is I've recorded this a couple of hours early. So the markets have not yet opened. I may post this after markets open. So just in case you're unaware. And we can see currently in the pre-market, we're set to open up in the green. Now this can change, right? The markets do that. Sometimes when the markets open up, it can go red. But so far, we're seeing 0.45 on the Dow, 0.47 on the S&P futures, and 0.6 on the NASDAQ. Now remember, the NASDAQ and the S&P had its worst month. Well, the NASDAQ had its worst month since 2008. And I think the S&P had its worst month since COVID period, which is back in March 2020. So really crazy, painful month. So anybody who's looking at their crypto going, that was a tough month, yeah. I mean, that's kind of obvious. You're in the most volatile asset class there is. If the traditionally safe and investable stock market is having its worst level since 2008, what did you expect from crazy crypto allocations, right? And particularly some of you are holding some particularly degenerative lack of portfolios, right? 1 or 2 coins which you've degened into. So naturally, you're going to feel it. Now, what is going on? We know that we're going to get the Fed meeting. Fed meeting is on, we've got that on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. You will see a statement from the FOMC meeting, followed by a press conference from Jerome Powell. Remember, if he comes out with aggressive monetary policy, we're expecting a 0.5% interest rate hike, but if he comes out with hawkish tonalities and he speaks very aggressively that he's going to be strong and powerful with, to tame interest rates, and comes out with that kind of language in his press conference, the market can react and head to the downside. So whilst the charts are showing us some nice patterns, such as Bitcoin, we've got to wait until we get that data from the FOMC meeting. So I'm expecting a little bit of volatility today. Tomorrow, the FOMC meeting starts, and on Wednesday, we will get the statement, okay? So be prepared for some volatility in the market. Now, what am I doing in the market? The answer is today, I'm doing nothing particularly. I did buy some dip in there, and like I said to you guys when I was walking in the park, I was a bit cautious of buying that dip because I was still fearful it might move to the downside. I'm still fearful it may move to the downside, but at the same time, I don't want to be chasing these green candles to the upside. So let's see what happens. If we fall lower than 68, my buys will become progressively heavier. If we start rotating to the upside, great stuff. If Bitcoin can get permission to move to the upside and start heading towards 42.5, I fully expect Fantom to get above 96 and start recovering its way up. For me, this is all about conviction. You've heard me say it time and time again. A balanced portfolio, conviction, rational mindset, a few post-it notes, and you'll be all right in this market. So there you have it, guys. There is a quick update here on the market. Fantom, Bitcoin, some interesting chart patterns going on. A lot going on in the market. In fact, one thing which I've not shown you just yet is what I want to show you in terms of the Dixie. We've got to look at the dollar index, because just finally, this is going to be an important metric for us to observe. And if I pull off the EMA ribbon just to tighten this, remember, if you've not seen the video where I've explained this, go and find that video. But I do explain that where every time the Dixie has been rejected, so this was dating all the way back to January 2017, and this one was in the COVID period of March 2020. It was at this horizontal level, but more importantly, Bitcoin went on its next bull run. So we're going to see, will the dollar index continue to go from strength to strength because of the Russian-Ukraine crisis, people looking for a safe place to put their money, or will we start to see this call off and head to the downside? If we look at the daily chart, we've seen 1 weekday of Dixie, but when they were up green again today, and we had 5 or 6 strong days. So Dixie is on a tear, but will we start to get rejected? And as and when that cools down, the correlation is inverse to Bitcoin. So we'd expect Bitcoin to start moving to the upside. So there you have it, guys. There's a bunch of alpha for you here on a bank holiday Monday here in London. Hope you guys enjoy your day whenever you see this video. Again, remember, it's pre-recorded, so by the time we uploaded this, maybe the market has moved and we're now breaking out from a pattern, or we're heading back down to the bottom of our wedge on Bitcoin. Either way, you know my strategies. Stay calm, stay rational, get rid of the emotions, dollar cost averaging on your favorite projects when you get the chance. Do not panic sell, see the course, and then sit back and just observe some of the macroeconomic conditions and try to understand what moves the markets. That's really important. If you can start to understand that, you can then start to almost predict, when are we going to get pullbacks? When are we going to get retracements? Is it something to worry about? Does that mean the project I'm invested in has made a mistake? Or is the wider market pulling back? These are the things we need to start understanding. As always, guys, I'm going to link up a couple of videos for you to go watch, particularly on Fantom. Make sure you go watch those. They're super important videos. We've had a crazy 48 to 72 hours in the Fantom space, and make sure you catch up on those videos when you do get a chance. I know there was a lot of videos, but they're really important that you catch up on them, particularly the Andre Cronje one, where he announces a few home truths about Fantom. And also, the other one I'll link up is... probably I'll link up either the Deuce Finance one, or I'll link up the video with Simone Poposi, the CMO of Fantom, giving an interview. So go watch those videos. Really important that you understand what is going on in the space. Stay up to date with all the latest announcements. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.